Well, you know that old saying, one thing leads to another. This is my 2010 F-150 4.6, running pretty good. Just when I come to a stop and go to take off, I have a little bump, and my suspicions were it was probably in this drive shaft, especially up in the front here where it connects into the back of the transfer case back there. And I really wanted to grease that up a little bit because Ford had a problem with a lot of these drive shafts binding up and causing a bump when you go to take off. That's what I was going to do, so I pulled the drive shaft off to go ahead and put some grease in that and stick it back on, only to realize that the back universal, well, it's not in the best shape, although it was not making any noise. So let me show you that real quick. There's a look at the drive shaft. It's aluminum. It's a pretty long guy, and if you drop this thing, you can ruin it and damage it. And it says right there, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's right. So be very careful if you're going to be working on one of these with this aluminum drive shaft. But nevertheless, here's what we're going to grease up a little bit. Put some grease in there. Hopefully, if that is the issue with this slip, the bumping when I go to take off, that'll take care of the issue. But the universal up here is in good shape. I mean, there's no problem. It feels really good. It's the one back here. And here is the back of the drive shaft where the universal is. And if I go this way, it's really binding up. But if I go this way, not bad at all. Making a little bit of noise here when I can feel it. So this is stuff you just run into when you're working on vehicles. So like I said, it wasn't making any noise or anything. So we're going to change this out. I've already got some paint marks here. I've got the flange on the rear end marked and everything, so we're good. I'm hoping we can just put a socket up under here, take these clips off, clean this up as best I can, especially on the inside here, and just knock these out lightly with a hammer because this is aluminum here, so you don't want to damage any of this, so we've got to be very gentle. Although, I do have a press over here, so if I can get this off of the aluminum drive shaft, then this part here is steel or metal. This should be able to press it out over there. So that's what we got to do. Now, in order to get this off, I'm going to show you a little tip here. Now, my vehicle is pretty much on the level, and I got a couple of bricks back here. I got a brick and a tire chalk back there. So what I did, I put it in neutral, and I just basically got something like let's see, like this here, this ratchet, and I got it on this one right about here, because if you try to get any of these other ones in this position, this will bind up. And best thing you can do is just get your pipe and just stick it on here like this. Try to break these off. You can't even really get a 1/2-inch ratchet in there because it's kind of tight where that universal bolts into there. So that's how I did it. And basically I just kind of broke these loose like this one at a time. And when I got one out, I would take the bricks out here and all that and kind of move them 3 or 4 inches. Then come back under here and put my socket on the opposite bolt here and kind of turn it and let the vehicle move about 1 inch or so, then come back over here and block the wheels again. And that's how I got these. You got to take them all out right about in this position here. I am on the passenger side, so if you try to get these out up here, kind of hard to do. And I'm doing this on the ground, so if you have a lift or something, maybe it'll work better for you, but this is just how I'm doing it. And like I said, make sure you do this on level ground, and it seems to work out pretty good for me. And just make sure your wheels are blocked and all that. So that's how I got these bolts out. They are pretty big bolts. These are 12 mil, big heavy duty bolts. You're really going to have to, get a piece of pipe and a breaker bar to get these off. If you just try to do it with a regular ratchet, these things will start to turn after a while, and they'll spring back, and if this slips off the nut and everything off the head of this, it'll just your socket's going to go flying. So you want to make sure you have a good strong grip on here, basically is what I'm trying to say. And like I said, just make sure you have some blocks around your wheel so you can kind of rock the wheel back and forth a little bit. Get up under there and move that drive shaft so it'll spin just a little bit. So it'll give you an advantage on how to get in there and get those bolts. Then again, if it makes you feel a little bit better, you can have someone sit inside and keep their foot on the brake or something while you're doing that. That'll work just as good. But since I'm by myself, that's basically how I am doing it. So just make sure the vehicle is on level ground, so you can kind of move it back and forth a little bit to turn that drive shaft to get in there and get those bolts. So with that bit of information, just whatever you do, please be careful, folks. But if you feel uncomfortable about taking this out, doing it the way I'm doing it, let somebody else do it. Take it to a garage. That way you won't have to worry about safety issues and all that. Now for my universal, I think I picked this up for like $18 at the local parts store. It actually has a grease fitting in it. And of course the old ones here, the factory, don't have grease fittings. So we'll go ahead and try to get this one here out. Looks like it's should fit pretty good, and I'm hoping we can just slowly knock this out of this housing here and all that. So to each their own. You can do it different ways. You can probably knock it out if you have a press and 2 people, maybe somebody holding that end up. You can probably stick it in a press like I got over there and kind of get it out and all that. But this is just how we're doing it in our backyards. Alright, so far we are failing miserably. This is what happens when you live in the Northeast. You got to deal with stuff like this. These clips are just wedged in there. So my only other option now is to maybe tap this until I can get it to turn a little bit. But you can see it's completely broken off now right there. So at least half of it's still there where I can kind of get a grip on it. Well, there went the rest of that one. So I even got PB Blaster in there soaking. If you look on this side, it's totally broke off. I just couldn't get any of this out. It's just so wedged in there. I'm going to have to do what I can to get that off later. But what I can do for now is go ahead and get this off the aluminum housing. You can see here, these have actually come loose, which is good. So I should be able to get this one off and this one off. So, these are big universals. They're not small, that's for sure. Alright, so I've got this one here, I think, just about off. Alright, that's how the other ones should have come off. And this one here, just about, I've got the PB Blaster kind of soaking there. I've cleaned out all the rust, so. Alright, so good. At least we got these 2 off on this side, and hopefully we can just kind of slowly knock this out. These here, I'm going to have to either take a, I'm going to have to get something in here and break these and get them out somehow. I'm not sure how we're going to do it yet, but this is going to take some time, unfortunately. Alright, well, so much for the big hammer routine. Taking a socket and just kind of knocking it out. Tried to do it on a block of wood. Didn't work, so pretty much going to have a press to get this thing out. It's pretty big. And you can kind of see the setup there. I've already got it going. It's already popped. Scared the crap out of me. And I got a piece on the bottom there. So you can see it's just about out. So, yep, there it is. Pretty much out. So let me get this off of here. Alright, so there we go. We got part of that universal through one side. Let me get some generic oil here and just, I'm going to try, and I've cleaned this up right here on this side. And like I said, this is aluminum. We really got to be careful with it. Since I've got this all the way that way, I'm going to see if I can knock it back out this way and knock the cap clear out. Get a pair of vice grips on it. We'll take our hammer here, and the camera is probably going to shake a little bit, and see if we can. I don't know. It looks like it's trying to move a little bit. Yeah, it's moving a little bit, so I may just have to set it back on the press and push it all the way back as far as I can get it out on this side and get a pair of vice grips and work it out. So, yeah. So it looks like that's what we're going to have to do. This is going to be a little involved. Alright, so it's about halfway, and there it goes. Oh, there we go. We got it all the way through. Wow. A lot of bang in there. Ooh, alright. Alright, so there's where we're at. See, we've got this side almost through. I'm going to try these monster channel locks that I picked up at the farm store for $8. See if we can grab this. Probably regular channel locks would work, but there we go. Holy moly. She's a biggie. Alright. So there's that. How about that? And now we'll get the rest of this out. Never 100% sure how I'm going to get these out, but we'll play around with it here and fish it out. So it looks like the only way I want to get this out of here is I'm going to have to knock this cap partially back in here, and then there should be enough room to get this out. Some drive shafts you can just turn it like this and just take it right out, but this one here is just the right size where it won't go past the outside, and I've done everything I could, but maybe you'll have better luck than me, but I don't want to scratch anything. So what I've done before we knock this back through a little bit, I've taken this little tiny wire brush and kind of cleaned this up on the inside a little bit. Be careful, this is aluminum. You don't want to scratch it too much. And now we should be able to just kind of knock this back in to a point where we can actually knock that out. Get another socket there real quick. Heck, at this point, we just might as well knock it all the way out if we can, all the way through. Usually goes back through pretty easy. Make sure you get a socket you want to keep too. You see it starting to come out on the other side there. Let me get a better socket. I don't know, we'll just use this little guy here, knock the rest of the way out. Oh, this is the one that was bad. Look at those marks. Yeah, so now we can just take our vice grips and grab this. Just twist the west way out. And that's done. So that's a big relief because I didn't want to damage that. So, alright, now what we got to do is figure out how to get the rest of this clip out of here. There's so much rust. I know what I want to have to do. I'm probably going to have to take a Dremel tool and go in here and just kind of slice it in pieces and see if I can knock it the rest of the way out. So unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Alright, so no dice there. I had to I took a grinding wheel here and tried to get these little clips out to get in there and cut them, but the wheel is just about the same size, so I just decided to go ahead and take a cutting wheel. We're just going to cut this out and knock these two in and knock them out. That's what you got to do. If you don't live in the Northeast, you do not understand this. People down south have it so easy. They just go in and knock these clips in, take them out, pop them out, and their universals come right up. When you live in the Northeast, it's just always a mess, it seems like. So that's what we're going to do. I got the biggest wheel I can get. Yeah, the guard's off. Just be careful. You can probably put the guard back on and still get in there. You'll have to use a full disc. Make sure it's big, because it's just enough to get in there and cut that all the way through. Unbelievable. All right. What are you going to do? At least now when I knock those in, this will release a lot of this pressure that's on that clip there, and I should be able to get it out. So, yeah, that's just the way it is sometimes. All right, so we got that one out. Made a big bang as it released. This was kind of an awkward setup because you just can't set this thing up like this and push down on it because it'll bend this whole thing. So you got to somehow get this out, and I use something like this to put behind it, a ring, to knock it inwards. Like I said, the things you got to do, you know, to get stuff done. But looks like it's going to work. Good thing I have all this junk laying around. It worked out pretty good. So we'll go ahead and knock this one rest of the way through. Watch your fingers. You don't want to get smashed. You can see, just look at the rust. I mean, it's just incredible. But at least I can get in here now and work a little bit. It's going to take a while to get the rest of this clip out. But at least I can get it out. Now let's go ahead and get the other side here out. Alright, so this one's kind of set up there. I'm going to do this on camera and you can just listen to how loud the bang is when these things release. So you pretty much got to have a press to do these. But like I said, this is not a step-by-step tutorial. It's just going to give you some idea of what you might get into on these big trucks, especially this F-150. But looks like for the most part, we just about got this one out. Yeah. All right, there we go. All right, so pretty much out. We can knock it out with a hammer the rest of the way. All right, so maybe we can knock this one out on camera here. All right, so when I go to put these back in, I'm gonna take some sandpaper and go ahead and smooth all this down and everything. But for now, you can see that clip we got to get out right there. So at least there's no pressure on it. I might be able to take a hammer and take a small chisel and just kind of hit it now. If it spins around, it may actually come out now. So this may take a little bit of tinkering. Yeah, there we go. All right, it's coming out. All right, at least something's going right. Yep, it's coming out. So we'll just spin it the rest of the way around there. Maybe you can see it there. Maybe you can't. I don't know. I think you can. There we go. All you gotta do is get a pair of vice grips or something, or needle nose, and grab that and pull the rest of the way out. So let me get that set up. I just took a screwdriver, just knocked on it, and it pretty much got tuck it out. Amazing. A 1 hour job turned into almost a 4. All right, so that's out. This one here might be a little more involved, but we'll do the same thing here. We'll just take a chisel. This is just in case you get into this situation. There are probably better options, but this is just how I've been doing it over the years. I think that one's turning now too, finally, hopefully. This one may be a little more difficult, so what I might have to do is try to break it. Well, feels like it's loose. Let's see. It feels like it's loose right there. It is, it's loose. All right, let me just see if I can take a hammer and a screwdriver and just knock it the rest of the way out like I did the other one. Kind of tricky here. I want to keep it in the shot. Hey, got it. Knocked it out. Yay, all right. What a relief. All right, guys. Hey, let me know where you're watching from right now. Alright guys, so we got our keepers cleaned out, our grooves, and you almost have to wear this down a little bit, this Dremel tool, to get it in there, because you can see it's almost as big as the hole. So I cleaned off the edges, then once it wore down, then it was small enough to go inside of here. You can get in here and clean all these grooves up. That's really important. So we'll put some heavy grease on this when we put it back together, so we don't have to worry about that. So we're just about ready to assemble this. I'm going to clean this up with some sandpaper here, so when we press our new universal in. It'll go in a lot easier. We don't have to force it in and all that. All right, that's clean, nice and grooved. I'll do the other side off camera, but look at the corrosion, just amazing. So that is clean inside there, and we should be good. All right, so there are a lot of ways you can put these in, but one thing you can't do, I can't, on especially these, I don't know, some cars you can. You got to take these caps off, stick this in, and slide the caps over the end, take a hammer and just start tapping lightly on each side, and make sure you don't get any of the needle bearings to fall over. If you do, they won't seat all the way up in there. If you see a little gap here, then you know you've got to take this cap back off and see what happened. But I usually just put my thumb on one end and just, this one's pretty much in, so all I gotta do is put a clip here, and we're almost done with this. So let me get the clips in here. Alright, so this nerve-wracking part is done. Those clips are in. Now, if you can't get your clips in, when you press this out, you may have bent this a little bit here, so you got to be really careful not bending this, because you get too close or too far out. Well, mainly if you push on it here like I almost did and open it up, you know, the clips will be too sloppy. Then if you push on this too much like this, squeeze it down, then these will be too close, and this won't go in. Or if you do it the other way, it'll be too far out. But it took me a few minutes to get these in, but they're in. So that is all done. So all we got to do now is put in the housing over here, the aluminum housing. I cleaned out the slots for this really good with some light sandpaper, so they should go in pretty easy. They shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to hammer and force these in, where it's so much pressure. These should go in fairly easy. So that's what we're going to attempt to do. So this part's done, and we got our white mark here. So we'll set this on the drive shaft, and we'll start putting this on. All right, so here comes the fun part. We're going to try to get this in without causing any issues, bending anything, breaking anything. You can just kind of watch me here do it in real time. So that's going to go like that. Got my paint marks lined up. Take this cap off here, and we'll take this one off. We got to go in like this. I mean, even this way, this thing is so tight. So we'll stick that on that one there. And you can see just how easy that goes in now. Wow, huh? Well, it's pretty easy. And we'll put our cap on the other side. Try to keep the dirt out if you can. And gently slide it over into the other cap without not losing any needle bearings. Let me check that and check it the other way. It looks like we're good. Yeah, I know I've got a claw hammer. Alright, so I think we're in. Oh yes, we're in. Good deal. Alright, so we'll knock this down a little bit here. Down to the grooves there, slots. And same thing on this side. Alright, we're in. So it wasn't bad at all. Now remember, when you're cleaning this out here, this is aluminum, just do just a tiny bit like I did. Don't do a lot. It makes a difference when these go in. So, alright, so let me put the caps back on here, the clips and all that. Alright, so we'll get my clip here on. Like I said, it's not a perfect job, it's not a professional job, but I got the job done. That's what matters. Alright, so I'll push that back in. Now let's get these on here. Everything feels pretty good. And we'll knock this one in. Oh. This one's going to be stubborn. Alright. May need to tap that in just a little bit more. I think we got her. She looks. Yep, there we go. Yes. Wow, that was nerve-wracking. Nice. Now what we gotta do is put our little grease fitting on, which is right here, and we're pretty much done. All right, so we got plenty of grease there. Don't have to worry about that anymore. And it looks like we're done, and I'll go ahead and put a little grease on the other end of the spine. That was our original attempt when we got into all this mess earlier, and I'm not going to show you that off camera. I'll just do that off camera, and we'll just go ahead and put all this back together. But first, man, it's a beautiful evening. What are we going to do? You know it. Let's do this for a few minutes. And boom, just like that, we are done. Drove it last night, no problems. The bump is gone in the rear end now when I go to take off from a dead stop. But other than that, no vibrations. I didn't have any before, but still, I just want to make sure that the universal is okay. But yeah, she's in, and I'm all happy, so we are done. Pretty hard job if you ain't got the right tools, but hopefully this will give you a little bit of insight on how I did it. And perhaps, you know, you might have a better way. So there you go. Hey guys, so there you go. She's a good looking truck. She still has some small problems, but overall in general, I've got the major ones fixed. Still have a little bit of a slip in overdrive or fourth gear. I'm not sure which it is. Kind of, well, it's there, but I can feel it. But we'll look into that later. Although since I've been driving it now more, it seems like it's getting better. So who knows? But something I might look into later. So until my next video, guys, I will see you later.